Welcome to the Mindfully Gay podcast, where we celebrate queer identity, spirituality, and community. I'm your host, Jerry Buie, and this week I'm flying solo while John recovers from a cold. In today's episode, I sit down with Serjio Gutierrez, founder of the Healing Lounge, to talk about cannabis, consciousness, and queerness as powerful tools for healing and transformation. Together, we explore the role of plant medicine, shadow work, and intentional community in supporting queer bodies, minds, and spirits. Let's get started. Good afternoon. Hi, my name is Jerry Buie with Mindfully Gay and our podcast. Normally, when we do this podcast, it's John Cottrell and myself. Unfortunately, John Cottrell has been down with a respiratory set of circumstances, and whenever he starts talking, he's coughing. And so we're giving John a well-deserved rest. We will work him next week, though. Um, in the meanwhile, we have had this opportunity and been trying to figure out how to incorporate this young gentleman into our discussion. Um, Sergio contacted us via Instagram on our page, which is mindfully_gay. And just found his story very interesting. And we want Mindfully Gay as a podcast to be about conversations relevant in the lives of gay and trans and queer men. So, Sergio, thank you for joining us. Um, I've looked at your website, thehealinglounge.com. And I'm going to let you introduce yourself. I'm intentionally avoiding your last name because I can't roll my R's. So, would you mind introducing yourself to us?
Yes, hi. Thank you so much, first of all, Jerry, for bringing me on. I'm really grateful to be on here and, to share my story a little bit more. And yes, my name, everyone, is Sergio, Sergio. Last name Gutierrez. And I am the owner and creator of the Healing Lounge. And that is, if you want to look up the website, it's thehealinglounge.love is my full website.
Oh, I'm sorry, I said .com. I did think that was unique. I thought, how do you get a .love? But great that you have it. So, Sergio, I know you and I have talked a little bit, and there's some questions I'm going to ask. Um, uh, it's exciting for John and I to start intersecting with other gay and queer men who are creating opportunities and venues of a body, mind, spirit connection. But I wonder if you could share with our audience and with me a little bit about what your journey is. What's it about? What's your vision? Maybe just start. What's the vision of the Healing Lounge, and then maybe we'll segue into your story.
Yes, thank you for that. The Healing Lounge was started in 2021, right after the whole shutdown, and people were just kind of getting back into being a little bit more outdoors. It was really interesting. We had a brick and mortar, and the Healing Lounge started as a networking event where we invited local holistic practitioners to come down and just network. And that turned out to be a really fun success. It was really great. It was all word of mouth. And when we migrated our brick and mortar to online platform, we decided to do away with the brick and mortar. And I said, you know what? Let's just go ahead and do the Healing Lounge online. And the vision with the Healing Lounge is to bring about community, but also bring about more awareness of other practitioners and practices that are out there, allowing us for more access and resource to find people out there who are helping others in mental health, in energy work, herbalists, every astrologists, a lot of people out there who are willing and open to share their gifts with the public, with those who seek it. And the Healing Lounge is a form of a platform for them to celebrate them, to celebrate all who take the time to to go out and help the public, regardless of what the public may think. You know, a lot of people still have their views and opinions and thoughts of certain holistic practices, and that's okay. What this is, what the Healing Lounge does, it highlights these individuals, their practices, and their journey so they could share it with anyone who is aligned, who is looking for answers, who is tired of conventional ways of, yeah, of whether it's medication or whatnot, just seeking a way out differently that aligns more true to their mission. So the Healing Lounge is that it's a platform to highlight holistic practitioners, businesses, and nonprofits. Right now, it is on my website. I have a lot of different links where people can click on to uh, see other holistic practitioners and their businesses available. I also have a podcast on YouTube and Rumble where people can check out the videos, the interviews that I have with these holistic practitioners. And coming soon, it'll be on an Audible podcast where it'll be on Spotify and Apple. And I'm excited for the expansion for the Healing Lounge.
Right. And this sounds like a community project, or is it specific to queer folks? Is it specific to Vegas or
Well, originally it started off as Vegas, in Vegas, and I invited all my friends and people I knew in the community to come on the show. It's like, hey, come on and just talk about what it is that you do. And it's slowly but surely expanding. I have other people reaching out to me, uh, not only in Vegas, but also all around the country. And I also want to incorporate it in Spanish as well, and make it where we could join more community than just in English, but also make it in Spanish. And so that all of that is coming soon.
yeah, as a mental health practitioner, at least here in Salt Lake City, um, the conversation is starting to broaden. And I've had an opportunity to do a lot of public speaking around uh, we get really egocentric about this westernized approach to health and healing, and yet we know that there's a lot of indigenous technologies out there that incorporate body, mind, spirit towards holistic health. And one thing I like to tell people is, yeah, I take Tylenol and medications, but I want to have a practitioner that's also mindful and
Mm.
conscious of other forms of healing too. And so I love this. I don't know, when we talked before, I just clue you into a book that I think is very inviting to this. Is Gabor Mate has written a book called The Myth of Normal.
Mm.
And he does an excellent job of weaving how nomadic and indigenous communities tend to have probably more realistic concepts of health and healing than our westernized capitalistic form of medical resources. Um, I looked a little bit on your website earlier today, and I noticed that you've had a very interesting personal journey with plants as well as I guess training and certifications you've had in a form of spiritual healing that we've not talked about on the podcast before. And so I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about your own practice and what that entails, and then we'll get into your story a little bit.
Absolutely, yes. So I am a Reiki practitioner, um, or what I like to call is an energy practitioner. I work with energy, the specific person, also place or thing, where I could find certain blockages that are going on in your life, and we could help clear them together. Because when it comes to uh, the process of eliminating certain things that are getting in your way, a lot of these energetic attachments can actually block or keep you stuck in a specific cycle. And what we do together is clear them out. I help you fine tune them so we can go ahead and work on them together. Because when it comes to your own personal healing journey, you're going to have to do the heavy lifting. I'm just the guide. I'm the guy that says, "Hey, have you tried X, Y, and Z?" But when it comes to the energy practitioner aspect of what I do, I work with energy, I channel energy, and I call it like a massage for the soul. Like it feels really uplifting. It feels really recharged. It helps you just tune in and ground and center a little bit more. Um, Also, what I do as well is Akashic Record readings, and that is very fun. It's a different level of getting into why it is that you're going through certain things in this lifetime, and it probably can stem from situations that happen in a previous lifetime. So we tap more into that. It's a little bit more of a deep dive and finding out what is really going on, how many times you've incarnated here on this planet, and also what are some of these things that were passed down to you as far as not only your gifts, but also some of the traumas that need clearing. So when I do the Akashic record readings, which is a very fun experience. We get to really deep dive and unblock a lot of the blockages that are carrying a lot of weight and allowing us to not fully fulfill our purpose. But it also gives us a sense of discovery. In the other question that you mentioned, when it comes to a little bit more of my personal life, the reason I got into it, or oh yeah, we'll go
Well,
back.
I just wanted to ask you, so you talked about the Reiki and then the
Mhm.
readings,
Yes,
and I just noticed that you use the word channeling in your website.
yes.
So what does that necessarily mean?
Well, with channeling, it is, I'm an intuitive channel, so I get to channel information of what is really going on of a certain person, place, or thing. And this happens intentionally, sometimes unintentionally. And uh, when I have someone that comes to me with a specific issue or any kind of problem or something that they need an answer to, uh, I receive information which comes to me as a knowing, and I relay that information to the person, whoever that is. And I go into this form of flow of information that is directly for that specific individual. And the really fun part is whatever comes through at that moment, I I don't remember most of it. This information that comes through is not for me. The
Yeah,
information that comes through is for that individual, and I am a conduit of that energy.
yeah. Now, yeah, I think it's really important. So we'll put that on the shelf for a minute and maybe come back to it. But your story, like how did how did Mr. Vegas come to be spiritual guru?
Interesting. Well, yes, guru, not so much. I don't really call myself anything other than I'm just a guide. I'm just a guy who's helping other people just to find their light. Maybe they're looking for a specific X, Y, and Z, and I just help point the way. But thank you for that. Yeah, so growing up, I've had knowledge of herbs, passed down knowledge from my mother. And I really had an issue with identity. I had an identity crisis. And when it came to my sexuality early on and discovering who I really was, I didn't have a lot of role models or a lot of people out there who I can say, oh, well, take me under your wing and show me what it is to about this world. So in the early young age, I started experimenting with a lot of drugs and alcohol, which led me into a lot of dark corners, and it allowed me an addiction to to not only cigarettes but to alcohol. And uh, during those young years of my life, I experienced so much. And when I just decided to say enough is enough, I was 33 years old and I asked for guidance. I asked for guidance and I said, "Hey, I really need to change something here in my life. Can you please give me a sign? What is it that I need to know? What is it that I need to look into? Like I am open to it all." And that's really key right there when it comes to your healing journey is making that conscious decision and putting everything on hold and being in that moment of, hey, I need help is very important. Uh, and I did receive it. I received the message. I received an article. Um, And the article, because I was really asking how to break the addiction, I received an article, I read the article, and it was about CBD. And I said, well, what is this? Because, growing up, I smoked, cannabis here and there, but it wasn't with intention. It was just to be cool and fit in with, my friends. And when I looked into CBD, I read the article. I said, this is very interesting. I'm going to take this as a sign and roll with it. I went to the dispensary. I bought my first CBD oil tincture. And I remember driving to work. I took the dropper, didn't get me high, but it made me feel good. And it made me feel lighter. I felt like a wave of euphoria, but not high. I wasn't high. I was still doing the thing that I was doing. And I was like, wait a minute, what is going on here? I feel good. I feel lighter. I decided to go with it. So I continued. I continued taking CBD and I started using it, whether it was doing edibles, smoking it, taking the tincture, and then came an opportunity to work in the industry. There was a job opening for a up and coming CBD shop that was opening up here in Las Vegas. This is when it was barely coming out, when it was before the boom. And I said yes. I'm like, yeah, I'll go ahead and apply. I applied. I got the job. I took a huge pay cut because it was a startup. But the information, the knowledge, the wisdom that I gained in talking to other people that were going through their own healing journey and coming to a CBD shop looking for some kind of answer, resolution, anything that can help them out of their pain. And to see what I saw during that time as far as the recovery and the people that were being helped with easily an extract of a plant was a beautiful thing. I decided right there and then to dedicate my life to this plant and say, you know what, this is a part of who I am. Not only did it help me with my recovery and my addiction, it helped me eliminate the need for cigarettes, not nicotine, but cigarettes in general, because there's a lot of toxins in that, and also in alcohol. And it helped me with more than just that. It helped me bring my body back to balance. It helped me to understand and listen more to my body, to help me understand more of who I am as a person, as a human being, because it allowed me to feel outside of my addiction, outside of my vices. It allowed me to feel what it meant to really be in balance, and I continued that journey to the point where I got into. I said, well, you know what? I'm taking CBD products, which normally CBD products don't have a high THC content, below 0.3%. So right there and then, I remember this one time at a store, I said, well, if I have to know everything that cannabis has to offer, I have to explore all of it. So then I started exploring, going to dispensaries and purchasing products, smoking it, edibles, vaping, teas, you name it, lozenges, capsules, everything. I wanted to know it all. How does it make me feel? Why is it helping so many people? And I had a spiritual awakening in collaboration with this beautiful plant medicine. It helped me to explore different parts of my consciousness that I didn't know that were there, or maybe I knew at a subconscious level, and it allowed me to receive a lot of information and shift my perception. And during that shift, it just opened my entire world up to so many possibilities, which then led to me getting into energy work and opening up those doors and more getting more in touch of my true nature, of my spirituality, and evolving that.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing that story. I do want to put this out there that Sergio's sharing his personal story, just like I've shared my story and John has shared his. we want to encourage people to be law-abiding citizens.
Mhm.
We all don't live in Nevada. Um, but I do, sometimes I feel a bit amiss that, um, right, sometimes our cultures and laws are not necessarily congruent with what might be, um, it, our journeys are so individualistic. And what works really well for you may not work so well for me, kind of thing. And so, what I'm hearing you say is um, you discovered some spiritual significance in a process in using cannabis that opened doors for you, opened consciousness, awareness. I'm just curious. I want to kind of pull it into the theme of mindfully gay a little bit. I'm wondering how it has shaped or helped you to understand your place in society, your place within yourself as a gay man. Like what layers of consciousness have opened up for you in that realm?
Wow. Well, cannabis is like anything else, a plant medicine, a sacred technology, a plant medicine, a catalyst. Um, and it catapulted me into who I am now and expanding into. What I am experiencing now as a result is a deeper appreciation of nature, a deeper appreciation for my fellow man, from fellow appreciation for every living thing. As a gay man, I experienced some really beautiful things and some not so beautiful things. And on that same note, understanding and going through the work that I did with cannabis, with shadow work, because with cannabis, that's where I did a lot of my shadow work because I got to get out of my own way. I was able to get out of my own way and let that information come through that I needed to heal. And a lot of it was repressed emotions, repressed traumas, things that I had no idea happened to me as a child. And I was able to understand that that was something that was an opportunity for my growth, both spiritually and as a human being here on this planet, living the regular three-dimensional life of, yeah, we have to go to work and do the thing. So me being coming to that understanding and going through the work, I was able to let go of all of these different layers of toxicity that were just built upon me through all of these structures and programs that are just available on regular day to day. Back then, growing up, I didn't have access to social media. We didn't have all of these different tools and that information. So that information came from the people closest to you. And I didn't have, like I mentioned before, I didn't have access to, role models or, growing up gay or different. We didn't really have uh, any outlet, outside of, just being in, going out to bars or going out to the, parties. So which actually contributed to some addictions that I had that I spoke about. But what I came to it is the conclusion that I came to, and being a spiritual and having a spiritual experience is a lot deeper than being gay or straight. It's a lot deeper than just one way or the other way. It's all of it. It's everything. It's all encompassing. We are all one, and I feel more connected to everyone, no matter of what they physically look like or what they stand for. For me, it's about unity. And once we tap into that sacred knowledge, that sacred information within all of us, we get to understand that, you know what? We are all in this together. We are all existing in this world. We're all here in this town, city, state, country, world. We're all in this together. And if we were able to set aside any kind of differences or belief systems and actually tap into the true, to your purpose, to your heart, tap into humanity and care for each other, this world can be a completely different thing, and we have the power to create that. 100%. I truly believe that, and it's unwavering. That's just something that I do not and I cannot get out of my mind or my heart. We can accomplish what it is that we want to accomplish. We can live out the lives that we want to live, and we can do this together if that's what you choose to do.
Yeah. Um, I know um, we chatted a while ago about oh the work with different plant medicines and how that can shift consciousness. And I told you I was relatively new to the world of cannabis. Um, and which was really surprising because I found that I had to kind of work through the deconstruct, the Nancy Reagan arrows of just don't touch, right? Um, and I had this really interesting consciousness. Whenever I work with plant medicines, I think there's a certain kind of anxiety that shows up, and working through that anxiety and giving permission to go into the deep dive, right? And whether that's ayahuasca or cannabis, right? The invitation to go into the deep dives. And I'm wondering, are there any particular gems for you that you think, like I remember having a death experience on a medicine, and
Mm.
that happened 25 years ago. And it literally shapes how I do life today. I'm wondering if there's been any particular gems for you in this spirit journey that stand out as anchor points for you.
Yes, yes. Cannabis for me, in the spiritual work that I do, I feel like it's all encompassing, it's all one. Cannabis allows us to see where we're holding back on, and cannabis being the beautiful teacher that she is. She is a beautiful, beautiful teacher. She allows you to see what you need to work on. The reason we medicate ourselves with cannabis and go into communion with this plant medicine is to understand a certain aspect of ourselves that requires more healing. So, with that, I was able to understand a lot of my repressed emotions and traumas. A lot of my these memories came up because I asked cannabis. I'm like, "Hey, I need help here," and so she said, "Well, here you go. Here's what you need to clear." And it's not easy at times, and it's not pretty and sunshine and rainbows all the time. It's hard work. And whenever we do consume cannabis, I get the story a lot from a lot of clients where they consume cannabis, whether it's edible or they're smoking it, and they get so high that they start getting anxious, paranoia, and they kind of want that feeling to go away. And I said, you know what? Listen to that because that is a great way to understand where you're at on your healing journey. Think about it this way. You are smoking or consuming or medicating with a plant medicine that's allowing you to raise your vibration, your frequency, and it gets you from point A to point B immediately after smoking that joint, doing that edible, whatever it is that you're doing. It just gets you from this vibration to this vibration immediately. Can anyone honestly say that they can handle that elevation of frequency of their own true vibration of going from point A to point B like that? Um, it will take some kind of practice, more use. I would say start low, microdose, go up, move up as needed, but start low because if you consume and then start getting anxiety and trauma and your all of these things are popping up and you're like, I don't like this experience, get it away from me. It's because of that reason. We are elevating to a higher vibration, a higher frequency, and we're just not used to it. We weren't prepared for it. So when I go into any kind of communion with cannabis, it's more of ceremonial for me. I do it to check in and where I'm at a vibrational state. I go in to say, all right, what is it that I need to work on today? And then we go and we have that conversation and we do the work. I don't do it daily. I don't do it every single day when I get off of work. It's like, oh, I'm going to smoke this because I don't require it medically. People who do require it medically have a totally different experience than those who don't. Uh, and this is all through my experience working in the industry since 2017. And I continue to help people with the use of cannabis and using it for that purpose of not only letting go of some of these blockages and some of these anchors that are anchoring them into this repetitive loop. Uh, it helps them to kind of see not only what requires healing, but also ways of actually getting and clearing that out of your system. So for me, I was able to kind of gauge where I'm at on my spiritual journey, but not only that, but on my own healing journey. I'm like, hey, this is where I might need some help. Can you assist me here? What is it that I need to know? I do the work, and every time that I consume cannabis, I don't get that feeling of anxiety anymore. I don't even get the munchies anymore. What I do get is more clarity, and I enjoy the moment. I enjoy the feeling of just being in this high, beautiful vibration, and it just feels like a warm hug. So it's a very beautiful thing. I would say another gem, environment is everything. Who you're around with is everything because cannabis does heighten your own gifts, your own spiritual abilities, your own psychic abilities. So a lot of people, a lot of people are empathic and they have empathy. When it comes to consuming cannabis, it heightens that empathy. So we get to feel energies and sometimes see energies, sometimes that we're just not prepared to deal with because we are feeling everyone else's energy and we're feeling some of their high points and some of their low points. And we have to be careful and not to intake it as our own. So that's when being more aware of where your energy starts and where others begin is very important.
I I like to whatever ceremony I'm participating in, whether that's a sweat lodge or a pipe ceremony or working with plants. One of my teachers and mentors kind of drove this into my brain, and I think there's a lot of value there. And I think um, a couple of things. One, these are all sacred tools, right? That often have indigenous roots or teachings or ceremonies connected to them. In many ways, they've been like with mushrooms, they've been so appropriated that most people don't understand the origin of how mushrooms came into people's consciousness as an ancient medicine. Um, but the power of intention, right? To to not just light up or to just partake because it's available, but um, to work through a process of intention, to have clarity about that intention. And then what I tell people is once you've done all that intention work, then let it go.
Yep.
And trust that the medicine will take you to where you need to go. Like trying to navigate that through some of these medicines can be very challenging, but the precursor to that can be going into it with a layer of mindfulness and intention. Um, and I have found that when I do that, at some point in the process, I can go in and very clearly sit with that intention and let the plant teach or guide me in that way. I don't know if that's something you've experienced, but
Oh, 100% true.
yeah.
It's all about intention. It's all about what it is that you seek out of it. And it's very important. Like you mentioned, it's not about just lighting up and just seeing what happens. Uh, it's it's putting the intention out there. What is it that you want to get out of it? And also, it's not a crutch. It's not something that you do just to forget about your day or your problems or the overuse is just a whole different subject that we could probably spend another hour talking about. But when it comes to intentional use of certain plant medicines, that's where the true healing lies because now you're able to communicate with that plant and have it be an ally to you. instead of having it be a crutch where you use it just to oh, just because you had a bad day, or use it just because X, Y, and Z, whatever it is that you want to tell yourself. The true meaning behind it is to actually go in and do the work intentionally to allow yourself that clarity. Because once you're able to actually be in that space where you're like, oh, this is what I need to work on, this is what I need to release, this is what's really causing me my anxieties or my behavior here, or this is why I can't, stay in a relationship, or why all of these things, then we're able to clear those out. And that way we get to experience our regular day to day in a totally different mindset, release of these things that were holding us back.
Well, and and I like what you said about set and setting. And I'm thinking, I think for a lot of our queer folks, right, set and setting happens to be a rave or the club or some kind of environment that's not necessarily going to be inducive for a calm, settling experience, right? That
Mm-hmm.
and I think, right, in 2025, we're so far removed from the places of nature, the places of contemplation, right? Um, and yet, the one thing that the universe is calling for is for us to be mindful, to be attentive to our own temples, let alone the one we're walking on, right? And um, and I come from the premise, I may have a little different tone than where you're coming from because I would suggest and promote the idea that our queerness gives us a unique lens and perspective. And indigenously, most societies had a sacred place that we occupied. They may not have used words LGBTQI plus and queerness or whatever, um, but we existed, and often in those sacred places. And I often, my fantasy is that, and that's what our retreats are about, right? Is what happens when we bring queer men together to really contemplate. Now, we don't work with plants in our retreat, but um, this is certainly an invitation to rethink how we do aspects of our life. Do we create a space for the sacred? Do we create a place to amplify our personal medicines and to recognize that the world needs those things despite the political, climate. They need us. I mean, who else makes things beautiful around here? And so I love this idea of you kind of representing, whether it's legal or not, a lot of people participate in cannabis use. And what happens when we revision our relationship with that plant as a vehicle to take us to our gifts, to show us the medicines that we carry. So I think that's a very powerful there's a very powerful message for everyone in what you're talking about. And I think the implications for the mindfully gay audience is what happens when we step into the revisioning of our stories, whatever tool that is, whether it's yoga, hiking, cannabis, etc. Um, so I want to just ask you because we're coming up on time here. So we have the Healing Lodge .love. And that's kind of like the first vision. And you're located in Las Vegas, correct? Do you want to talk about your other projects and websites? This is your opportunity to promote.
Thank you for that, Jerry. Yes, and I do agree with you as well, really quick. We do play an important role in history. The community is very impactful. And when it comes to who we are as individuals, I believe that we embody both the divine feminine and the divine masculine in a balanced way. And because of that, we are seen and sought after for our art and also for our spiritual gifts. So I just wanted to say yes, yes to all of that. And yes, you can find me on thehealinglounge.love. You could also visit me on Instagram on the.healing.lounge. I'm also on TikTok at I am holistic bro. So that's me on TikTok. And then also um, the other projects that I'm working on, I do have a CBD company and we are working on the rebrand. Right now it's called Nature's Moment, nature'smoment.com. We're rebranding it. We're redoing label design, all of it. We're going to be doing the whole renovation, the whole expansion to amplifybotanicals.com. And that website is coming soon. So feel free to tune in so that way you get to be in the know of when that's launching. We're going to be doing some really great things with that. I also launched my own smokable line of CBD blended with uh, botanical herbs. So different herbs like eucalyptus, sage, St. John's wort, blue lotus, all mixed in with mullein leaf and with CBD with hemp flower. None of my products will get you high, but they will make you feel amazing, very euphoric and in touch and connected to nature in a different way. That line is called Holistics because they're little pre-rolls. So I call them Holistics. And so that'll also be included in the new website, Amplify Botanicals, coming soon. You get to see a little bit more about holistics on nature'smoment.com. So check that out. And feel free to reach out if you have any questions about whether it's energy work, Akashic Record readings, or cannabis use, using it for ritual, for healing, for whatever intention that you want to put behind it. More than happy to help be a guide for that. Also, I'm partnering up with an amazing woman. She is a frequency healer. We are launching a website and a tea line called Frequensize. Frequensize um, intends to blend frequency medicine with plant medicine. So we are now integrating frequencies with our plant medicine. And that tea line is called Frequenty. So that's already out, that's launched, that's frequensize.com. You could check that out. But yeah, feel free to reach out if you have any questions about anything that we spoke about today. I'm more than happy to guide and to help bring community together.
Great. And for Mindfully Day, we have our retreat coming up September 19th through the 21st in Sandy, Utah. No marijuana. No. But
Yeah.
we will be engaging many frequencies in our ritual and ceremonies, as well as our playtime and fun time. So I want to thank you, Sergio, for joining us. I wish you much luck and success in your endeavors. And if any of our listeners are involved in projects similar to like Sergio, or um, if you want to participate in the conversation, certainly join us on our Facebook page, Mindfully Gay, Instagram, mindfully_gay. TikTok is the Mindfully Gay Guys. And then we have our website, mindfullygay.com. So thank you for your time. And until we meet again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining me today on the Mindfully Gay podcast. I hope Sergio's story and wisdom inspired you to reflect on your own healing journey. We'd love to hear your stories too. Connect with us on Instagram at mindfully_gay, TikTok at mindfullygay, and visit mindfullygay.com to find out about upcoming free social events. If you enjoyed this conversation, please take a moment to rate this episode. It really helps others in our community find us. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.